Good afternoon. Welcome to Water Wednesday. My name is Kathy Schultz. I am the Water Education Specialist with the California Department of Water Resources. And this month we are talking about floods. It may seem a little strange to talk about flood when most of us haven't seen any rain in months and all the news is about drought. But floods are really the other side of the coin to drought here in California. Our water cycle naturally swings between dry and wet. I often tell people there's no such thing as an average water year in California. And that's how it's been for thousands of years. We are seeing some greater swings. Our speaker last week talked about how climate change is impacting floods and droughts, but this cycle has existed here, and it's what we know to expect in California. And the thing about floods is they don't just come in wet years, nor only in the winter months. So it's really important that we are flood ready all year, every year. The mission of the California Department of Water Resources is to sustainably manage the water resources of California in cooperation with other agencies to benefit the state's people and protect, restore, and enhance the natural and human environments. One way we do this is through Flood Preparedness Week. California Flood Preparedness Week began in 2012 with a single event right here in Sacramento County. Today, DWR works with federal, state, and local agencies across the state to help raise awareness of flood risk and flood preparedness. And we are joined today by Nikki Blomquist, who works in our Division of Flood Management. And Nikki is an outreach and communications specialist, and I'll say a key member, it might actually be the key member, but a key member of the Flood Preparedness Week team. And when I turn things over to Nikki, she'll be talking in more detail about flood risk in California, the types of floods that we face, and most importantly, how you, your family, and your community can prepare for flooding. Really quick, before Nikki gets started, if you've joined us for Water Wednesday before, you know what I'm going to do. I just want to do a quick Zoom overview for anyone who's joining us for the first time. When you joined with your cameras and microphones off. This is just to help reduce distractions, noises that might accidentally filter in while Nikki's talking, but we do want to hear from you. If you're joining us on Zoom, you have the opportunity to ask questions of Nikki. And so the way you do that is you just take your cursor, go down to the bottom of your screen where it says chat, click on that, and you can send questions to me, and I will get through as many of them as I can with Nikki after she's done with her presentation. The other thing that we have available are closed captions. So if you need or like to have captions going while she is speaking, those are available as well. Again, you just take your cursor, move down to the bar, and you'll see a little box that says CC and has the words closed caption underneath it. And that's it for Zoom. So I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Nikki. You're on mute still. All right. If anybody had that on their bingo card, they can mark it down.
Exactly. It's that easy square to get. So let me share my screen. Okay. Is it up, Kathy?
It is up.
Fantastic. Okay, so like Kathy said, my name is Nikki Blomquist. I work in our Division of Flood Management here at the Department of Water Resources. Part of my job is to go out and talk to people about flooding, flood risks, and how people can prepare for flooding. So today I'm going to kind of give an overview about various types of floods, and then talk to you about how you can be aware, be prepared, and take action so that you're ready if flooding comes to your community. So first of all, floods are some of the most common weather hazards in the United States, and including here in California, we have about 8 different kinds of flooding. And we have about 7 million California residents who are at risk of flooding, many of whom don't know that they're at risk. So it's really important, as Kathy mentioned, California Flood Preparedness Week, for local communities to go out and talk to their residents about their flood risk. So in addition, flooding happens throughout the state. Every county in California has experienced a federally declared flood disaster in the past 20 years. So it is really important to be prepared. Okay, so we will jump into some of the types of flooding. So the most common type of flooding in California is river flooding. 90% of floods are caused by river flooding, and they occur when there's too much water in rivers or streams and they overflow their banks. This water will overflow into communities and agricultural areas, even covering freeways sometimes. This is also known as slow rise flooding because this type of flooding we can see coming. The meteorologists keep track of storms. They know when extra wet storms are coming in. And then we have experts who are monitoring river levels and reservoir levels. So they can run some models and predict how high the river is going to go. So communities can take action to protect their residents and warn their residents. And then residents have time to evacuate. This type of flooding occurs generally in the Central Valley, so along the Sacramento River, the San Joaquin River, and it happens in low-lying areas. So kind of look around, see if you're near water or if you're downstream from a dam. So another common type of flooding, and this is something that you will see frequently in your community, is stormwater flooding. This is also known as localized flooding. And it happens when you have a very wet storm, comes in, dumps a bunch of rain, and it overwhelms the drainage system. And then the water backs up onto streets, sometimes into homes, and sometimes into businesses. So it affects fewer people. It's more limited in scale. And it also tends to happen more frequently. It recurs from year to year. So one of the risks for stormwater flooding is that it's dangerous to drive through the puddles that come along. I call them puddles. Some of them can be very, very deep. Is you don't know how deep that stormwater is. So you don't know if, for example, if you're walking through stormwater, 6 inches of quickly moving water can actually knock an adult off their feet. And if you're driving into stormwater and it's flowing rapidly, and 24 inches of that water is enough to float an SUV or even a truck. Now, 24 inches is roughly the height of a golden retriever. So as friends at the National Weather Service say, turn around, don't drown. Avoid driving through so that you don't stall out in that water, and keep yourselves safe. Okay, and then another type, and this one is more common when we have wildfires. It's debris flow flooding. So a debris flow is made up of water and mud and debris like rocks and branches. It forms and accelerates quickly. It can travel at speeds up to 35 miles an hour. And these flows can be 10 to 14 feet high, sometimes even higher. And they are caused by heavy localized rainfall. As you can see in the picture on the slide here, this home has been on the receiving end of a debris flow. And look how high that pile of dirt and rocks is. Those rocks actually went into the house. Thankfully, everybody in the house got out safely, but it did cause a tremendous amount of damage to that home. This type of flooding is common in mountainous area, in the foothills, and along the coast. And then I want to talk about flood after fire because with all the wildfires we've been having throughout the state in the last few years. There's a lot of mountainside that has been scarred. Vegetation has been burned away, and this can increase the risk of debris flow flooding. And it increases the risk for a couple of reasons. One is, as I said, it burns off the vegetation that normally holds the topsoil into place. So it's easier for heavy rainfall to pick up that soil and those rocks and have that come down into the stream or the valley as a debris flow. The other thing that can happen is if the wildfire burns hot enough, it can bake the soil and make it hydrophobic. Now, this doesn't mean that the hillside is afraid of water. It simply means that there's now a waxy coating on that hillside that doesn't let the water soak in, so it runs off more quickly, also increasing the risk. And these debris flows that happen after wildfires can happen up to 5 years or even more after a wildfire has gone through the area. So this is something to be aware of if you live downhill from a burn scar from one of the many wildfires that have come through California in the last few years. Pay attention to the local authorities, the local news, if you're going to get some big rainstorms. Okay, and then another form that's fairly common is coastal flooding. So this happens when, through a process known as storm surges, when ocean waves are significantly higher than normal. If a storm comes through and it happens to arrive the same time as a high tide, then extensive flooding can occur. Wind can actually blow those waves up on shore, bringing water into neighboring neighborhoods, into business areas, and up and over some structures that were designed to keep the water away from those folks, like seawalls. This affects coastal communities, especially low-lying stretches of Southern California. So that's something to be aware of if you live in that area. So now that we've talked about a few of the types of flooding here in California, let's talk about how to prepare. So there are 3 major steps to preparing for flood. And the nice part is, if you are preparing for flooding, you're also preparing for earthquakes or wildfires. So this work that you do will help keep your family safe for multiple natural disasters. So there's 3 steps to preparing. There's be aware, there's be prepared, and take action. So the first step, kind of mentioned it earlier with some of the types of flooding. You need to be aware of where you live. Are you in a low-lying area? Or do you live near a stream, a river? Are you downstream from a dam? Are you downstream or downhill from a wildfire scar? So pay attention to that. There are some websites that you can go to. We have one here at the department, the My Hazard or My Flood Risk website, and we'll put that link in later. And you can put your address in and see if your property is at risk of flooding. And another thing you can do is you can talk to your neighbors, see if they've ever experienced flooding in that area, especially for things like stormwater flooding, which happen more frequently. So now that we've talked about being aware, be prepared. So there are two main ways to do this. One is to sit down with everybody that you live with, your family, roommates if you have them, and make a plan. So talk about what your flood risks are, talk about where you would need to go if you needed to evacuate from your house or your apartment. Talk about what happens if, say, your parents are at work and you're at school. How are you guys going to meet up if there is flooding and you're separated? Another thing to do is have a communication plan. And this just is something that you need to do so that you know how you're going to communicate in an emergency. You may even want to choose a friend or a family member who lives It may be in another state, because sometimes the phone lines become congested during disasters. And so, but you can still get calls out to people outside of your area. Uh, have a plan for, and then the next thing to do is you prepare an evacuation kit. This is all the things that you would need to take with you if you receive notice from your local officials that you need to evacuate from your house. So you need to think about what to take with you, what is important, what kinds of things do you need first if you have to be away from your house for several days. Are there medications that you need to take, important paperwork, clothes, water, snacks. If you have pets, um, take along food for your pets, any toys that will help them feel more comfortable, maybe a dog bed, and do you have carriers for them? So those are the kinds of things to think about before you get word that you need to evacuate. And there is a really easy way to test your preparedness. You can take the 10-minute challenge. So someday, weekend, weeknight, challenge your family to pack up what they need in 10 minutes and get in the car and drive away. And that way you can see, first of all, what your first instinct is to grab. And then you can also see what you might have missed. For example, I could see it being very easy to miss taking chargers with you for your phone, for your iPad, for your laptop that you're going to need or want if you're away from the house, so that you can communicate with people and get updates. So, and then the next step, the final step, is to take action. So ahead of a disaster, one great way to take action is to sign up for local alerts from your city or your county, whoever your emergency officials are. They can send texts and they can send emails directly to your phone about developing weather conditions, whether there are watches or warnings, and then evacuation notification as well. So you can also use social media, but that's an area where you want to be very careful. There's a lot of misinformation during disasters on social media because everything's moving so quickly. So maybe ahead of flood season, look at who you would trust. Play detective. It should be your local sheriff, fire, city, or county. Those are your best sources of information. And then weather information, the National Weather Service is a great source. And then the other way to take action is if you do get a notice from your local officials that you need to evacuate, please do. That is the single best way to keep yourself and your family safe. So with that, remember, flood preparedness begins with you. You know what you need in order to be safe. You know what you need in order to be away from your house. And you need to know how to prepare. So with that, Kathy, are there any questions for me?
There are some questions for you. And I don't know if there's like a hard, fast line between this, but this one came in when you were talking about the storm flooding, and then the first two floods, the river flooding, and then also the storm flooding. When with flooded streams, is that considered river flooding, or would that be the other one?
You're right. There is a blurry line between the riverine river type of flooding and then the localized flooding. And a lot of it depends on the scales, because there are some streams that are much larger. They drain a much larger portion of an area, and they may be tracked, and they may have gauges on them to measure the flow. And then there are the smaller ones that might be in your backyard or running through your neighborhood that are dry most of the year until water comes through. And that would be considered localized flooding.
Okay, that makes sense. So if you see it coming from a distance, it's more of the riverine flooding, but if it's in reaction to a storm, it would be the other one.
Exactly.
Okay. What about tides? Do high tides ever cause coastal flooding? Like we hear about the king tides. Can you speak a little bit about that?
So they can. There are some times of the year where, the tide, oh man, I need to brush up on this one. So yes, yes, there are. And basically it affects, you have higher tides, which are called king tides. California has a king tide project where local citizens can go out along the coast and they can take pictures. This type of flooding, one of the things that hits the Bay Area a lot is there are some park and ride lots where people can't park there because of this kind of flooding. It's not as directly associated with the storm
Mhm.
like your typical coastal flooding.
Okay, great. Um, what is the most common type of flooding in California?
River flooding is
Okay,
the most common
got it.
type of flooding.
And when was the last major flooding event?
So 2017 was one of our wettest years on record, and we also had a lot of flooding that year, primarily in the Delta area, Sacramento, San Joaquin River Delta region, because it's affected by the tides, the water rises. So it gets water both from the San Francisco Bay and then as well as water coming down the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers.
Mhm. Yeah, I know I used to live and work in Oregon, and we always would get storms around Christmas time, which always seems to be when the king tides are happening. They tend to happen, it seems, around when we're around the equinox.
Mhm.
Is it the equinox? Solstice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has to do with the sun and the moon, and we'd get water coming down the stream and then water coming in from the tides, and they'd back up and would flood the entire the campground too. So yeah. Um, let's see. What's a flash flood? Sometimes we hear about warnings for flash floods. Maybe not so much up here in Northern California, but in the South and the Southwest.
Yes, so flash floods are really they're actually one of the deadliest types of floods because they happen very quickly and they move very fast. They're also very tall. They're some of the most common ones happen in small canyons in desert areas. So you can have storms that rain upstream of you, maybe even not even directly on you. And then that wave of water comes down, picks up dirt, and can pick you up. So if you're out hiking in the desert areas and around streams, that's something that you want to pay attention to the weather before you get out of cell phone reach from towers.
Mhm.
See if there are any storms that are coming in the area that might dump a lot of water. And it can happen in urban areas as well, but some of the most dramatic ones happen, and they can wash away roadways, they can wash away bridges, so they're nothing to be messed with.
Water's a pretty powerful force.
It is.
Is flooding always bad?
No, flooding actually has a lot of beneficial uses. And before, we moved in, I mean, the Native Americans worked with the natural flooding cycle. They would move uphill when it was flooding and then come back down after the flooding had passed and live near the rivers. But now it can be a beneficial. It brings silt down into the rivers to provide richer rivers for your fish and water species. And then we are also investigating ways of using it to flood land so that it recharges aquifers, so that we can reuse that water down the road when, say, we're in a drought. We'll have banked that water for future use.
Yeah, we had a speaker talk a little bit about that program about using the flood waters to recharge aquifers back in April. If anybody's watching today is interested, it's on Floodmarn. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Here's a question about the fires that we're experiencing right now. Does the soot from the fire, does that move into the rivers? I guess maybe if there was a debris flow or something, would that take soot with it? Do you know?
So yes, one of the current concerns after a wildfire is water quality, because as you said, the burned elements, those can be picked up by any rainfall. And then because that rainfall flows into streams and rivers, it can affect the water quality. So there's often monitoring programs that occur after a wildfire to see how that watershed has been affected. and the water quality in that watershed has been affected.
So I have one last question for you. You talked about, being prepared and having your emergency kit and leaving if an evacuation order is issued, but sometimes people maybe can't leave, or, they don't leave, and then suddenly they find themselves with floodwaters around them. Is it safe if you're trapped by a flood, to go into your attic or the roof, or under the roof?
So that's an excellent question. And you do not want to go into your attic, because attics only have one entrance and exit typically. And then you are also, if you go into your attic, then emergency responders, firefighters, police can't see you, and they don't know that you're there. So if you can't evacuate, and unfortunately there are a lot of situations where people just can't, getting on the roof is your best option.
Okay, so hopefully it doesn't come to that, and but it's good to know what to do in the worst case scenario.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Nikki, and I want to thank everybody who joined us today on Zoom and YouTube. Water Wednesdays is occurring once a month right now, so we will be back next month on November 3rd with a new speaker. But in the meantime, please do visit our website, water.ca.gov, to learn more about DWR, and specifically water.ca.gov/flood-prep-week to have more ideas on how you can prepare for flooding. There's a number of additional websites that can help you and your family be flood ready. These include ready.gov, which is FEMA's website with guides and plans that your family can fill out. Nikki, is that the plan that you showed us earlier during your presentation? Is that where that came from?
It is, and that's the first place I go when I want to have a plan. They have fantastic resources there.
Great. So as she said, in ready.gov, that can help you be ready for a fire or an earthquake or just any of those sort of natural disasters that can hit California or wherever you live in the States. So there's ready.gov, there's water.ca.gov/myfloodrisk, which is DWR's website that shows flood risk maps throughout California, and FEMA.gov/flood-maps, which has an overview of FEMA's flood maps and a link to their map center. Lastly, here at DWR, we have a variety of educational materials. These are mostly for K-12 students, but anyone who would like to learn more about water is welcome and encouraged to check them out. Our main site, water.ca.gov/education, includes links to dozens of vetted websites, including education programs run by your local water agencies. And you can also order free materials from our education materials website, including a flood preparedness book that's available in both Spanish and English. And it's something you can do if you've got, kids at home. It's not as complete, I'd say, as the FEMA one, but it's a really good start and something you can do to help your kids start getting to be flood ready. Or kids, you can do it with your parents to help them start thinking about it. Lastly, we also have our social media sites. Even if one goes down or two goes down, we're on a number of different ones: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on LinkedIn if you're looking for professional opportunities in water resources. And then we are also on YouTube. And like I said, you can find past Water Wednesday episodes on YouTube, and this one from Nikki will be up in a couple of hours if you want to go back and read anything else about it. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a good rest of the month and look forward to seeing you here in November. Take care.